Alright, here's what I have. It all stitched together. Alright, the weights are right here. When I squeeze it, I can feel them. So that'll be the tail end, and this is where we'll attach the head, which we need to make right now. Its head is made fairly similarly to the body, but the side panels are shaped like an L with 3 rows of 4 and then 2 rows of 2. So it makes an L there and an L there. The very top of his head is a rectangle, as is the back of his head and the underneath of his head, okay, or chin. Then this part is one long, not rectangle exactly, it kind of tapers in like a trapezoid, okay, so that we can get kind of a slightly more pointed snout area, okay. So let's go ahead and make that right now. As always, we're going to start with a slip knot. There's lots of tutorials out there for making one of those. Do it your way. We're going to start with a chain of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to single crochet in, starting at the second chain from the hook, and we're going to single crochet in 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the chains. Just like that. Two, 3, and the last one. Then we're going to chain 1 to step up and turn, and now I'm going to single crochet into each stitch for rows number 2 and row number 3. I'll be right back. Okay, I just finished row number 3, and this is what I have, just this little rectangle, which is this part of his face right here. Okay, so chain up 1 and turn. For row 4, it's just 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then the other 2 are going to be left alone. So chain up and turn, and this right here is what I have, the beginning of that L. And now I need to turn away from it. I need to turn to make the top of his head. To make that turn, we need to turn away, so that means back loops only. Like that, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and in the back loop of the second one. Remember, back loop means this is the front leg, this is the back leg of the V on the top of the stitch. Go between the 2 and underneath the back one, and make your stitch. So that makes the first row of the top of his head. Chain 1 and turn. We need to make 2 more. 1, 2. In case you're wanting to keep count, that is row 6. So 1, 2, 3, and then that little partial one is 4. Return the corner, that's 5, and that's 6 right there. Chain 1 and turn, and this is row 7. And it needs 2 stitches as well. And now we've made the top of his head, and this is what we have. Okay, we're at the end of the top of his head, and this is how it turns. So there's a side, there's the top, and now we need to turn again, but we're going the wrong way. So chain up and turn. And now we'll see that we need to turn towards us, okay, which means front loops only. Do front loop, you're going to just go under the front loop and between the two legs of that V, okay? Just like that. And now we have that ridge right there that makes the turn down, okay? So that was row number 8, okay? Chain up and turn, but we need, before we can chain up and turn, we need to make this two foundationless single crochets. Okay, I was calling it a foundationless, and that isn't exactly true. Okay, we're going to chain 2 and then chain a third so we can step up and turn, and now we can put our single crochets into those first 2 chains we made. So skip the one that's closest to the hook and go into this one and then that one. And you actually need to go, there's the V. Oh, let me see if I can get you a little closer. There's that V right there. Okay, that's the first chain. We're skipping that one. We need to go into this one. And normally we would just go through here, and that's easy, and you can do that. It's not going to make a difference. But technically, I need to go under those 2 and over the top and get a turn of this one right there. Okay. Because that is so very difficult, I'm not going to, but technically you should. I'm just not going to. I'm going to cheat it. When you stitch his head together, you will never notice that I had cheated there. Okay? So go in the first one, make your first, go in the second one. This is going to make it twist a little bit, but when we sew the snout together, boy, I'm really having trouble today. When we sew the snout together, it'll straighten right back up. Okay, so that was 1 and 2. There's 3 and 4. So that's row 9, and that is as complicated as this is going to get. Okay, so this is what we have. Here's that ridge where it turns. Here's the ridge where it turns over here, and this is what we've got. So now we just need to make this L the same size as that L, which means we need to do 2 more rows of 4. So chain up, turn, and single crochet in each of the stitches below for a total of 4 stitches. And again, that's going to twist a little bit, but doing this next 2 rows will help straighten it out. And yes, I know this is really tiny and difficult to stitch or to get your hook in there, but just try to pry it. If you have fingernails, it will definitely help. Okay, so that was row 11, or row 10. Let's do row 11. Chain up and turn. 1 and 2, 3, and the last one. And 4. And now this is what we have. chain up, and now we can make the bottom. So right now this folds up and it just makes this shape. So we need to make the bottom now, but we're going the wrong way, so turn it, and we need it to turn, the bottom to turn towards us, which means front loops only, okay, which we've done before. And again, make sure you're not splitting the yarn. And you're going to single crochet front loops only for a total of 4 stitches for row number 12. Chain 1 and turn. And now we need to make this taper the top of his head to the bottom of his snout. So we're going from 3 rows down to 2. So this only needs to be 2 rows tall. Okay. So here's how it turns. The first row, and now we need to do one more row. Okay. Single crochets. Really didn't make that last one easy. I must have pulled it too tight. Camera in front of my face, that's not actually unlikely. There we go. And then we're going to just fasten off, so pull that chain and then leave a bit of a tail, snip your yarn and pull it through. So this is what we have. We started over here and ended over here, and we have this ridge here, this ridge here, and this ridge here, where the turns are, okay? So now all we need to do is add in the back of his head, which is going to make a bit of a trapezoid shape, starting in 3 and working our way down to 2. This is 3 rows, so we need to start with 3. And where it connects is only 2 rows. So we're going to make a total of 4 rows, because this is 4 rows high right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's 4 rows high by 3 at the top and 2 at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to add in our yarn right there. Okay. All right. I've inserted my hook in the first row before that second, oh jeez, sorry, before that. Here's that ridge. So here's the first row before it. I'm sticking my hook in right there. And like I did with the body, I don't like to use slip knots because I find that the knot actually gets in the way. So I just insert the hook and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull up a loop to chain up, and then I single crochet over that tail yarn, just like that, in the same spot where I attached. Okay, so there's one. Here's the second row. I need to make one there. And then here's that third row, right there. And that's 3. Okay. Now I know that's pulling out, but that is actually the top of the stitch where back loops only, where we had turned, so don't stitch in there. Okay. So that was the first row. So chain up and turn. The second row will also have 3, so 1, 2, and 3. Maybe. There we go. Chain 1 and turn, and now we need to go down to 2. Remember, this is only 4 rows tall to match up with the back. And we want to match up, oh, there you are. We want to match up this side right here. And then this side of his head, if you'll remember, is only 1, 2, 3, 4 rows high, okay? So we need to make this, back panel 4 rows high. And I am jumping ahead of myself. So we've made 1 and 2, chain 1 to step up, and now we need to take this down to 2. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 3. Now we have 1 stitch instead of 2, and then just put a normal single crochet in the last stitch. So now we have that, which is the 3rd row of the back of his head. Chain up and turn, and put 2 more, or 1 more row of 2 stitches in for a total of 4 rows, and then we can fasten off. And I know it looks like I'm leaving a lot of tails. I am. Some I'll just work in, and some I'll be using for stitching up. Okay, and now when we look at it from the correct side, the side that has the ridges, the outside, we can see that when we fold it over, this side matches up. So this matches up with the side we just finished, just like that. And it'll match up with this one between that ridge and that ridge. This is the bottom of his head. It turns like that, remember? Just like that. Okay. Okay, this is what I have. Now I need to work on the snout. And the snout is going to fit right here. It needs to start as 3. Okay, between here and here is that section of 3 rows. So we need to make our stitches, we need to match them up, 1, 2, 3, okay? And then we have to figure out how long it needs to be, and I've already done that. It actually needs to be, it needs to go from 3 down to 3 at the beginning down to 2. Remember, we want to taper, we want his nose to taper a bit, his snout to taper a little bit. So we go from 3 down to 2, and this section is 1, 2, and 3, okay? Remember, 1, 2, 3, and then this is 2 here, okay, and 1. So when we put it together, we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 rows, okay? And then it'll attach at the very end right here, which is only 2. Okay, so we need to attach our yarn right here between the 2 ridges. Okay, right there. Okay, I actually had to dig out even more than what I had before. So we're going to sew this pink to this pink here, this peridot to that peridot, or peridot green, and then this, so from here to here, and here to here. This yellow goes to that section right there, that yellow, this blue, and that blue. Okay, that took care of the back of his head. For the front of his head, we're going to sew this long snout white pearl color with this section right here that starts right up here. So it's going to make this L shape, okay, like that. Then the turquoisey kind of blue color is going to do the same. So this side will go to that section, Okay, so there's like that. And then finally, the very tip of his snout will go to the bottom, or the end of the bottom of his face, like his jaw area. Okay, so here to here. Now, his eyes are going to sit right here, and you can embroider those with a little bit of red. See, it just needs a little bit of red right there, and I actually suggest you do that embroidery first before you put this thing together. Okay, so I'm actually going to start back here and do this section first, then add this section, and then do these two, and then I'll do the front. So I'm doing here first, here, okay, and then I'll jump forward and do his snout area. So here, and then here, and then finally I'll do the flaps for the bottom, and I'll leave a little bit of area when I do the side. I'll leave just a little bit of area to stuff it, okay? And I'm going to do the 3 lines of embroidery. It's just 3 lines like that. The top 2 are the same, and the bottom is kind of shorter, okay? So go ahead and do that. I'll be right back. Alright, here is what I have with the back of his head attached. So now I need to spin it around and add the snout. Now the snout is going to start at 3 and end at 2 because it's going to butt up against that chin section right there. Okay, which is only 2. When you fold it up, we need to fill in. Okay, there's the top of his head. We need to fill in his eyes, and then down into the snout, down this section here, and end here. Okay, so we start at 3, end at 2, and we need to fill in all of this. Okay, so the first row of stitches won't attach to the side of the head at all yet. It's starting with the second row of stitches we're going to attach. So we need 1 to attach at the top of the head, right here at the forehead. Okay, and then we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 to make it long enough. Okay, hopefully that makes sense in just a minute. So with it this way, we need to attach between that row, that ridge row, and that ridge row. Okay, so right there. I'm going to attach just the same way I like to do. Again, no slip knot. You can if you want to, that's up to you. I just prefer to not have that extra slip knot in the way. Okay, so 1, and then that's at the beginning, or at the end of the first row on the top of his head. Then there's 2 more to go. So 2 and 3. Now, if you remember, this right here looks like where you need to be, but it isn't. It's just pulling, because we did that back loops only, front loops only, sorry, front loops only right there. We need to go in front, not here where there's a hole, but behind it on this side. Okay, And that makes our third stitch for the first row of the snout. Chain 1 and turn. And do a single crochet in each stitch across for a total of 3 single crochets for row number 2 of the snout. Chain 1 and turn. Make another row of 3. So that's a third row. And then we need a fourth one. So chain 1 and turn. And do the fourth row with 3 single crochets in it. Just like that. And now, chain 1 and turn. Now we need to get a little smaller. We need to go down so that we have 2, which will butt into the underside of his head there. It's going to end right here. So this is the part we're making. Okay, and it ends right there at his chin. Okay. So we need to make it a little smaller. To do that, we're going to do a single crochet 2 together. Insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Stick your yarn in, or your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop. So now you have 3. Yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a single crochet 2 together. And then the last stitch is just a regular single crochet in both loops, which I tried not to do there. Okay, so that's our fifth row in the snout that has just 2. Chain 1 and turn. Make a 6th row. It has 2 as well. So 1 and 2. Chain 1 and turn. And now make your 7th row with just 2 in it. Okay. Like that. And we're going to just fasten off. And yeah, I tend to leave long tails here. I probably actually have too many. But I'll use some, I'll probably just work some in to bury them into the work, okay? So now we just need to stitch this little guy together. And here's what I have, oriented the same way as before. Okay. This is the side of his head into the eye area right here. That makes that L shape. And it's repeated over here. This little flap right here, that ridge. This is the chin area. This area right here. Okay. This is the back of the head right there. The top of the head. And then this is the snout that goes starting here and runs down to right there. Okay. Don't worry, I'll use my colorful sewing pins to show how each piece sews together. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm ready to sew these together. I'm going to start right here. I've got my needle on. This corner where this yarn is coming out of, this tail yarn, is going to match up with this row right here, this corner right there. There is the ridge of front loops only that we did before, so we could turn the corner to the underside of the head, the chin area. So we just need to match that up just like that. So we're gonna sew using a ladder stitch again. Just like that. And when you get to the top, which is where I am now, you can bury this yarn, or, and this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to follow my path here and go to the other side, like that. And now I can use that same yarn to sew up this side to this side. Okay? So fold it over, and again, ladder stitch. Just like that. And that forms up the back of the head. Okay? So now we can just stitch this part to, there's that flap for the chin area. We can sew this little part to this little part. Okay? Don't get this yarn tail stuck. Okay, we're not using that part right now. Okay. Just going to stitch this part shut. Just like that. And now I'm actually ready. I'm going to leave this particular section open because that's where I want to use, where I want to stuff, okay? That's the section I want to use to stuff my little head, little head with, okay? So I'm just going to bury my tail thread there and cut it off. Pull too tight, like I just tried to. And now I can use bury this section here. Okay, I can, not section, this yarn tail here. Alright. And I want to, I'm going to take this yarn at the end of the snout. I'm going to zigzag my way up so that I'm up here at the top, right there. I'll zigzag just following the stitching rows until I get up here, and then I can use that yarn to sew the side of the face to the snout section. Okay, and once I get the snout section all done, I can do the end of the snout right like that, and then all I'll have left is this one little area right here that I can use to stuff. Then I can sew it up as well. I'll be back when I have all that done. Alright, here's what I've got. Got it sewn, and I added just a little bit of stuffing. This is the side. There's that L shape. Okay, right there. Then here's the eye area, and if you want, now it would be a very good time before you sew it shut to add the eyes in. Okay, it's a lot easier to do while that's open. And it's just 2 parallel lines and then the French knot for the suction cup, okay? So go ahead and do that. Go ahead and sew this shut, and then we'll make the last two details, the collar and the keypad, and we'll be almost done with this little guy. Be right back. Alright, I want to make the keypad next. To make it, it's going to use a slightly strange construction. Again, we start with a slip knot. We're going to make we're going to make it in the long direction this way, and then we're going to fold it up and over to make that slightly diagonal there. So the way I did it is I chained 3, 4, chain of 4, single crochet in the second one from the hook, and in the other 2 for a total of 3. Then chain 1 and turn, and do another row. So you'll have a total of 2 rows. And I split the yarn. Well, I really like to do that, don't I? And chain 1, and now we're going to work, so that's the base of the pad, we're going to work across here, okay? So we're going to insert our hook and go around. Oops. We're going to insert as if we normally would, but we're actually going to go around that row below it and make what is known as a front post single crochet, like that. Make another one. This one's going to go around the foundation chain that we started with, and then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to, working this way, we're going to just slip stitch, maybe. For 2, and now we can fasten off. And here is what we have. It makes like an L shape. And when we sew it, we're going to sew this top of the L, or this part of the L, down like that. Okay. I'm going to sew it down like that, and that's going to give us that nice little slight angle right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and fasten off, leaving a sizable tail. We can just work the beginning thread tail in. We don't need it. Like that, and get rid of it. Any bits that are hanging out underneath are going to actually get buried once we attach it to the back of K-9's body there. And now we can just sew the slip stitch to the main part of the pad there, keypad there, by using the ladder stitch. just like that, and it holds it down. So we get this. Alright, now all I want to do is add the rows of buttons, so 2 red, a green, and a blue. So I'm going to drop that, grab my red and my blue and my green, and my green's actually Red Heart Super Saver green. I forget what its actual name is. I'm pretty sure it's just plain green though. And all I want to do, so here's the top of that pad that we just finished. I want the green to be not on the diagonal part here. That's where the white or red goes. I want it just at the fold. Like that. And I'm actually just going to take the, on the back side, just tie a knot. Nothing more is really needed. If you want, you can bury it, bury the tails, and do all the normal, proper things, but I'm not going to. I didn't on the other ones, and I'm not going to do it here. It's just not necessary. So there's the green. Now I'm going to do the blue. This blue is Caron Simply Soft Party. And the blue goes right below the green. It's right there. Just like that. And again, I'm going to just tie it. See no reason to make this any more difficult than it already is. Unless, of course, I can't tie it. Because keep splitting the yarn. And now the red. This is also that Caron Simply Soft Party. And one goes up here on the diagonal. Not on this side, but right here. Okay. And then before I cut it off, I'm going to go ahead and do the one that's below the blue at the very end of the keypad. And now I can carefully tie this one. And I know that looks like a hot mess. I think that's the term, right? A hot mess. I'm not really sure what that difference is between a hot mess and a regular mess, but it looks a mess and on the back. But when I put it on the on K-9, it actually helps push this even more 3D, so it looks a little raised. So here's his body, and I need to find the weights, which are right there, so I can orient, whatever the word is. Get this in the right orientation. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm coming out here. I need to scooch up a little bit, like that. And now I'm in the corner, which is where I like to start. There's those weights. The angled part goes towards his head. The weights are going to be at the tail. And now I can just ladder stitch again. This little keypad to his back. And as I'm doing it, I'm going to bury the tails that I left a little long when I knotted things. I'm going to make sure that those are tucked under as much as I can. Okay? And I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me do this, because that would be very boring. I'll be back up with you in a minute. Okay, I added the keypad, as you know, and then I just went ahead and embroidered the K-9 and Caron Simply Soft Party, the white. And then on this side, I used Caron Simply Soft Black and outlined a piece of recycled plastic from packaging that I had tinted with a red Sharpie, okay, to make his little monitor on that side. Okay, so this is what he is looking like. Here's his head, and now we need to make his collar, which is the red, and his neck, which is the black, so we can get his head attached. So these two are really simple. They are magic circles, and that's it. So we wrap the yarn between your thumb, or pinch the yarn between your thumb and your first finger, wrap it up and over your first finger and middle finger, under those two, over again to form an X. Pinch the working yarn with your ring finger and your pinky. Take your hook, go underneath the first wrap, and hook the second wrap. Pull it out. Twist your hand away from you. Okay. Then yarn over and cinch everything down. Just like that. And then his collar is a magic circle of 6 single crochets. So insert your hook into the middle of the circle, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Do it 6 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And cinch up the tail thread. Check to make sure that this, I'm just making sure that the scale looks good, and it does. If you're using other yarn, you may need to make your magic circle a little bigger or a little smaller. Okay. Then we're just going to insert our hook into the first single crochet. Pull up a loop, maybe, there we go, and slip stitch. Okay, fasten off And I like to leave a sizable tail because I'm going to sew this to the body. And then you can pull up that first tail. And I'm going to make my mostly lumpless finish on this circle. If you have seen my other videos this week, you'll know, my other crochet videos, you'll already know how to do this. That basically your end loop where your tail is coming out of needs to be the same length as the stitch it's sitting over top of. So right there. And mine's just a little big, but that's okay. Normally you would insert your hook this way. For this lumpless finish, you're going to insert your needle the opposite direction. And that's going to force that final loop that we did the single, or the slip stitch to lay down. And then I'm going to take my needle through that loop and down into the stitch below. And draw it up. Being careful not to do what I'm trying to do there. There we go. And now it just sort of melds in, kind of melts down. I don't know what the word is. And now I can take this end and just come out, or pass it through any of the stitches there to bury it and make it so that it's coming out the correct side. And there's the collar. It's going to sit right there. Okay, I tend to like to make the part that isn't completely round perfect at the very bottom. So there's that. And at this point you can work in this tail thread. And then you're going to make another one with your black. And as you can see, my black has seen better days. I need to wrap it up into a little ball. Cats have played with it, of course. So I just circle again. And this time his neck is going to be just slightly smaller than the collar. We're kind of trying to create the illusion that his neck has got the red around it. You can always make a double thick neck and then just wrap the red around. That's up to you. But for this one we need a 5, so that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slip stitch to join. Oops. Maybe not like that. There we go. And then fasten off again, leaving a bit of tail yarn left over so we can sew them together. Then this is going to sit on top of that. And if you'll notice, it is just ever so slightly smaller. Okay, which is exactly what we're looking for. And I'm going to stitch the two together, then stitch it onto here, and then stitch the head on. And I'll be right back. Alright, I've added his collar and his neck, and then his head to that. And now I want to just add in the last couple of details. The first of which is his tail. And his tail is made very similarly to how I made the Daleks and the Cyberman. I'm just using a wire or a pipe cleaner that is, his tail is 3 centimeters. I'm just going to wrap that around each other. Okay, and then I'm going to use a new piece of gray because that's not long enough. And you don't have to wrap the very end here if you don't want to, because you'll be adding a little bead at the end. But we're just going to wrap the same way we did for the Daleks and the Cyberman. And just want to carefully wrap these so that the white isn't showing. Doesn't really matter on the end, of course. I'm just adding the end underneath these wraps at the base of the tail, because that'll make it easier to pull. Once I get to the end here. And his tail does get a little bulkier at the end, just a little, not a lot. So it's okay if it looks a little bulky here at the base of it. It's not a big deal. And I am wrapping as close to his body as I can. Just like that. And now I can pull on the tail thread that was sticking out and cinch this all up. Just like that. Snip the thread, and now all I need to do is kind of adjust these wraps with my fingernail. I've yet to get one that I'm completely covering the underneath side. So if you want to use a gray one, or not gray but silver, that would even be better. And now I want to add his little satellite ears. Okay, so I'm going right here, and I'm actually not going next to each other. I'm kind of going as far apart as I can make them. Okay. You can wrap these as well if you want to. I didn't on the other one, and I won't here either, but you can if you don't like the look of the chenille stem. That's completely up to you. The end's getting stuck. Jeez, I am having trouble today. There we go. And back out. You don't need this to be too long. Cut off the extra. Just how they sit out of his head. And then all that's left is to glue on a couple of mini pom-poms to his ears and a bead to his tail. And then if you want to make him into a Christmas ornament, just add a hanger, and there you go. And there it is. K-9. There's my original one. If you notice, you can see that he likes to take a nosedive. So that's why I put those weights in the bottom, because now he sits upright nicely. And there you go. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.